Brotatoes, what is up? It's Darkmech here with the first new video in my Protection Warrior Gold Challenge Mode Guide series with no DK in the group whatsoever. I had several people hit me up on WoW Reddit, the forums, or over Battle.net asking me to make guides without a Death Knight in the group, and also a few saying how they would really like to see it from a Prot Warrior perspective. Well, you asked for it, and here it is. Here is the first video. So today we're in Shadowmoon Burial Grounds. We're running a Prot Warrior, Resto Druid, Double Hunter, and an Enhancement Shaman. And just an FYI to the Warrior tanks out there that are looking to get into these, our AoE DPS is fucking balls out amazing, but compared to DKs and monks, we get hit like fucking paper bags. So come into these with your ass clenched, guys. So to start this, we're going to go straight into this first pack of 3 containing a Bone Mender and 2 Skeletons. Now you want to focus down the Mender and cleave off the Skeletons. Make sure that you're spell reflecting or dark simming the Shadow Bolts. Make sure you're interrupting the Shadow Mend, which is the heal. So once the Mender's dead, you want to start kiting these adds forward. And we're going to move up, and there's going to be this padding Void Spawn. Now we are not going to kill it, so you want to just watch which side it's moving to, and you're going to move to the other. It really doesn't matter which side you end up going to. It's the same mobs you're going to have to kill on both sides. So once you're around, you're going to go and you're going to pull this pack surrounding the summoning altar, making sure that the Void Spawn isn't in the middle. If it is up, you can choose to kill it, or you can choose to wait. Just sort of depends on how lucky you are with timing and placement. So this pack of 4 is going to have a Shadowmoon Loyalist in it and 3 Defiled Spirits. What you want to do is get an interrupt on the Loyalist and start dragging it over this way while someone goes and grabs the spiders. We were a little slow on this and a little unorganized. I pop a Ravage down and drag them out of it and fucking shit. You want to get this down as quick as you can and start kiting towards the drop down part. There's so many mobs you can kite forward through this instance, so don't sort of stand still and kill them. Keep moving forward when and if you can. So drop down the hole, make sure that you've dismissed your pets, otherwise they'll go around and they'll pull a bunch of shit you don't want to kill. And the next pack we're going to go around the corner and run into hits like fucking trucks, so big warning here for tanks. This pack has a Shadowmoon Bone Mender, the same as before, Shadow Bolts and Shadow Mends, and 3 reanimated Ritual Bones, and they really fucking hit hard. I use Shield Wall in this pack, they really mess me up. Warriors also, don't be afraid to kite. I have to do it several times in here, just intervening off to someone, moving backwards, heroic leaping around. You're gonna have to do it in so many cases, because we just can't sort of withstand the same amount of face damage as a DK or a monk tank can. So make the most of kiting. We're very mobile in regards to heroic leaps, charges, intervene, so really utilize that. So we're going to get them down, and we're going to go on to the first boss, Sadana Blood Fury. Now Sadana mechanically is exactly the same as Heroic. The only difference from Heroic to Challenge Mode is there will be 3 spawns of the Daggerfall ability rather than 2. So if you have range, try and get them standing at the back or on the outside of the runes. So if they have daggers summoned on them, they're right out of the way and you don't have to worry about them. So we're going to use our first heroism on this fight. Now the 2 most crucial mechanics for this fight are the ad that Sadana will spawn and the Dark Eclipse. For the ad, we're just going to stun control it until the cast runs out. Means we don't lose any DPS off the boss. However, you should note, as we did not note, and you'll find out as this video goes on, we actually end up -1 mob count from not killing the ad on this boss. So if you do want to stun control the ad, be aware you have to make that up. Now to stun the ad, binding shots, shockwaves, asphyxiates, kidney shots, frost traps, it all works. Otherwise, just switch to it, nuke it down, and get back onto the boss. The other important mechanic in this fight is Dark Eclipse. Now you want to run over these white circles, which is going to give you a buff called Lunar Purity. Now as you can see, you don't need to be standing in the white circles to be safe. You just need to get the buff and get back onto it. Remember, we're trying to minimize the time that we're losing DPS. Now, as a tank, you want to get this when the cast is about 1 second off. Means that you'll come out with your 80% damage reduction while she's still beating on you, and it's a huge bonus for you and your healer. She will also cast an ability called Whispers of the Dark. It's just a pulsing AoE ability, and it really shouldn't worry you too much. So once she's down, we're going to mana up if need be, and we're going to get onto one of the hardest pulls in this instance, especially when you don't have a DK. So this pack's going to have 3 Enslavers and 3 Subjugated Souls in it. Now the most important part of this pack is trying to interrupt or lock down the Enslavers and their Rending Voidlash. Now we have no grip to stack them up, so you need an interrupt to try and grab them in. Now our Shaman actually gets aggro on the back one, had a Rending Voidlash cast on him I didn't see it, I was trying to keep myself alive, and he ends up pretty much just fucking melting. So it does a shit ton of damage. So warriors, you really need to be mindful of how much damage you're going to take on this, especially if you don't have sort of some way to try and lock them down, but obviously make the most of your shockwaves. I actually used an armor pot on there to survive, but it was the worst idea ever because my invis ends up being down, and that's going to come back to haunt me in about another minute or so. So you can also see these exhumers in the hall. Now with the exhumers, as soon as you pull them, they're going to begin to cast. Now if you charge stun them or shockwave them, if you've got a monk for paralysis, a DK for grip, they will not summon their 2 adds, and it's pretty important to try and make sure those casts do not get off. You're going to have to set off 1 rune as you come down the hallway, and that's going to be the one on the... We just do the one on the right. You can do the one on the left if you want, but you will need to set off 1. There's no way to get over them. So then we're going to get on to the second boss. Now Nalash is a 2-phase fight. The first phase you'll beat his ass down, and then the second phase you'll be transported into the Void Realm, where you have to kick your own ass and then click on your soul to get back. So with the first phase, tanks, just be mindful. As you can see, he will cast a thing called Void Blast. In challenge mode, it does do a bit of damage. It shouldn't really worry you, but just use your shield barriers to make sure you get through it, as it is magic damage. He will also do a thing called Void Vortex. As melee, well, as anyone, it doesn't really do much damage, so just continue to pump damage into him here and don't be sort of too worried about it. The only thing is if you're getting sucked over the runes on the outside, you just need to watch for that. After that, Nalash is going to cast his Soul Shred. Now the aim here is to kill your spirit as fast as you can before the 20-second timer runs out. So kill yourself, click on the corpse, and then you'll come back to the fight. Now you're going to have a buff when you come back, which increases your damage and healing by 40%. So this is where you want to save your cooldowns and go big dick. Now it is extremely important here, guys, to not use a DPS pot. Now you remember how I said mine was going to come back to bite me on the ass? You can see that my pots are still on cooldown now, which means when we go to invis next, I am still on cooldown and can't do it. So just be mindful of that. You also want to make sure that you're staying away from the outside of the room, as there are the runes around the outside which you can just trigger off more adds and make it harder for yourself. Nalash is also going to do what he's doing now, which is cast Void Devastation. He'll stand in place for 15 seconds, make a bunch of void zones fall from the sky, and you just don't want to stand in them. It's extremely easy to avoid. Here's another Void Blast. As you can see, I'm using my shield barriers to get through that. It does do a little bit of damage there. He'll also do a thing called Planar Shift, which he'll just teleport to a random ranged player's location and then cast his Vortex. So once he's down, we are going to get ready to invis. You can see my pot's still 54 seconds off, so I really fucked the poochie. But what I get everyone to do is everyone is going to invis through. Povich actually gets clipped going through, so has to do the same thing I'm going to do anyway. I let everyone get through, then I am going to run through, I am going to leap over, I'm going to get to a safe spot, and then I am going to die, and we are going to get rezzed. Now in an ideal world here, Jai would be getting 1, and Cade would be getting Povich up. Jai's rezzing me, and Neo actually comes with the engineering device and manages to get Povich up with that. So if you do fuck the poochie, you can still get through it, but obviously far from ideal doing it this way. We just lost a fucking lot of time doing that. But in an ideal world, you just want to invis through, get down here and get on to the next pack. I should also add for you guys here, you do not have to invis there. If you're comfortable killing the enslavers and that, kill that pack, and then you can invis the last 4 going up to the last boss. It's whatever you're comfortable with. But we invis there, and we're going to go get onto this next pack, which is going to have 2 plague bats and a monstrous corpse spider and a bunch of little spiders that do fuck all. The focus target here is the spider in particular, making sure that you're interrupting the death venom, which will deal massive damage to your tank, and the other cast is necrotic burst that deals hefty party-wide damage. So again, stuns here, interrupts if your engineer's using your frag belts. Have some kind of system. We weren't extremely clear on sort of what we were doing in here. We actually 2-shot this, and the only reason we didn't 1-shot is because we fucked up on the 2 void spawns before the end, because we just charged in there with our heads up our ass and had no order. So once we've got that pack down, we're going down the ramp, we're getting another little group of spiders, and we're going down to the 2 monstrous spiders at the bottom. Again, you want to have some kind of system. Now, we weren't, this group wasn't really that strong for interrupts. We had Pummel, which is a 15-second cooldown, a Shockwave, and a Fear. The Hunters were on 15-second interrupt cooldowns, and our Shaman had one as well. So try and work out something. Our idea was to have 2 on skull, 2 on unmarked, and you can see we kind of take a fair bit of damage. A couple of casts go off, but all in all, it's not too bad. Just try to make the most of everything that you can again. Probably could have put a binding up, and I could have ran around the corner to try and line of sight one of the tank casts. But either way, get them down, interrupt what you can, and get onto this bridge across to the 3rd boss. You're going to pull this carrion worm. Now, the carrion worms really don't do much at all. It's the bats that will come down that I'm grabbing now that will pretty much do all your damage with the debuff that the bats will put on you. Now, there's 4 of the bats in this pack, so again, stunning them, kiting them, doing whatever you can to sort of get them down. Technically, we should be focusing down the worm and then pulling the bats over to the next worm, but just due to the amount of damage that I was kind of taking, we just had to prioritize getting the bats down. But if you are able, as I said, just focus the worm down, kite your bats around and kill them, and then move up to the next one. As you can see, I just kite around with heroic leaps and intervenes and whatnot. I didn't actually end up even using intervene in this one, I just leapt over. But we did have quite good DPS too, as you can see. So we're going to get that down, and we are going to move up to the last carrion worm. No bats, this is just don't stand in the body smash and get the worm down as quick as you can. Now, once this carrion worm is down, Povich and myself actually end up dropping a feast. It's just because we fucked up the invis part and we are not well fed. It does sort of show that you do have a bit of buffer in regards to time in here. Everything doesn't have to go perfect, and I kind of like showing those runs because I think, you know, so many people watch the amazing videos where people end up smashing the timers by, you know, 2 minutes and things like that, and that they're the kind of limits they put on themselves. But as you can see, we're getting well fed here. We've got 2 bosses and some trash packs to go, so it's worth the game. We're going to get off well fed for that 10 seconds that we're going to sacrifice for it. So we get well fed, and then we are on to the 3rd boss, Bonemaw. Now, Bonemaw is pretty straightforward. He's going to cast a thing off the bat pretty much called Corpse Breath. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage. DK's BAMSing, Monk's diffusing magic. I'm just using shield barrier. Bonemaw, like the other carrion worms we fought on the bridge, is going to do a body slam. And again, it's a giant purple fucking, you know, defile-like looking thing. You just don't want to stand in the big defile line. If you do, you'll get punted off the platform and you got a good chance at dying. Now, the biggest thing to watch in this fight is the inhale timer, as you can see us running away now. Now, usually there's a shield at the end there. It might be on the second one. I actually end up, like, you know, going towards the feast. There usually is a barrier there, but what you want to do is you want to start moving away on that inhale timer as melee when it gets down, and you want to be moving far enough away where you do not get sucked into him. Now, there are those little black spawn pools that you can see on the ground. If you stand in them, you will not move, but you will also take damage. What you want to do is try and set yourself up behind them for the inhale and get sucked into them if you need to as a last resort. Now, as you can see, when he came back up there, we have the 2 carrion worms that we ended up fighting on the bridge have now joined in the fight. Now, here you can see there's usually a barrier there. I usually can't go that far. I didn't know what the fuck was going on here. Those carrion worms that we fought on the bridge, they're going to cast body slams too. So you're going to have 3 body slams to contend with now. It really isn't a big deal though. Just pay attention to where they're going. There is always a hole. There's, you know, you're never going to get stuck in a bit where you've got nowhere to move. As you can kind of see, there's heaps of room on the platform. So all you want to do is make sure you watch out for them. Do not waste any DPS on the ads. Just continue tunneling Bonemaw down. Watch your inhale timer, and you really shouldn't have too much trouble. So he is down, and now we are on to the next 4. Now, this pack is quite difficult. A lot of people end up invising this part, so they'll kill the pack after the second boss and then they invis this. We chose to invis after the second boss. Well, some of us chose to invis, some of us chose to die, so we end up pulling this. So again, the 2 spiders are the priority, and the plague bats just have to come after them. Again, you want to be getting your casts, the interrupts on the spiders, 2 on marked, 2 on skull. You want to be making the most of everything you have here. As you can see, I end up kiting, health potting, anything you can kind of do to get these down to make it easier. They do this pack does do a lot of damage, so as a warrior tank, just be quite mindful of that. Use your kiting, use your intervenes, use your heroic leaps, use your health pots, your enrage regens, everything you can, because the last thing you want to do is wipe here. Now, after they're down, this is where we wiped the first time, and this on this group, this was a fucking pain in the ass. Stuns do not work on these 2 void spawns. You can only use interrupts. So again, what we did here, rather than doing 2 on mark, 2 on unmarked, because we just didn't have the interrupt timers up for it, what we did was we put pretty much all of our interrupts into skull while we punished it down, and we let the off one get off. Quite a few casts get off on the unmarked one. As you can see, there's another one, and it does a fucking ton of damage. So what you want to do is get skull down ASAP if you're in a similar group like this with shit interrupt repetition, I suppose you could say, because we're all on such long CDs. And then we're going to get our interrupt order going as soon as that skull one's down on the unmarked, and we end up getting through, but it is a very high damage pack, and you cannot let 2 of those casts, like 1 from each, go off, or otherwise it will just wipe your whole fucking group. So they're down, and now we're going to the last boss, Niushou. So we got 2 minutes 45 on our gold timer, and what we didn't know, and you guys may have noticed, is that we are -2 fucking mobs for our mob count. So skip your cinematic and go, go, go. Now we are using our second heroism here and anything else that you have. Tanks, the biggest thing for you is to make sure that when you are tanking Niushou, you are facing him away from your group at all times. The reason being, he's going to cast a thing called Malevolence. It is a giant purple frontal cone attack, and it will fuck anybody up that gets hit in it. As the tank, you want to face him away from your group. The cast goes off, you just want to sidestep and continue DPSing him. You don't want to lose time DPSing for this ability. So Niushou's also going to cast a thing called Omen of Death. It's going to target a random range player. It's going to be that purple lightning. It's going to be a circle, here it is there, and that purple lightning that comes down. It pulses out damage if you are close to it. It has a range limit, so just move Niushou away from it, keeping him facing away, and that is really all you have to worry about. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the Ritual of Bones. Now this is the line of skeletons that will walk from one side of the room to the other. I think it takes them, they've got about 30-second pathing time, so that's how much time you've got to kill them. You just want to have one assigned or someone to mark, or just pick out one before you start that you're always going to kill, and get that down as quick as you can. Now as the tank, the biggest thing to be mindful of here is that you do not want to, when that path clears up, that line to run through, don't just run Niushou up the middle following your group, because if you cast Malevolence and your group is either stuck in the middle or someone gets hit in that cone, that's kind of on you because you put it on everyone. Stand in the middle, try and face it sort of away from your group, and then move through when it's safe and you can reposition him for the next one. Now I'm actually going to bring the TS audio in here so you guys can hear exactly what fucking happened. We thought we were fine. You can see we've still got 50 seconds on gold and we're GG. We're still 2 enemies short, so check this out. Fuck.
Go back to the front, kill 2. Alright, run. 30 seconds, we don't have enough.
Fuck, go left,
go left. Pot as well, pots are up.
Smash them, boys!
I got nothing, Mick. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I'm also
I got that interrupt. One more.
Get it. Get that low one. Yes!
Oh.
That's the way to do it.
That'll be great on the video, mate.
Now that's a video. Fucking lol.
That's funny as fuck. That's
Clutch
great.
recovery.
What did we miss?
So I did go back over the video just to find out what we actually missed, because none of us had any idea. And it wasn't until I sat down and went over my monk one that I found out what had happened. So we were 11 of 36 going into the first boss, and then when we finished we were still 11 of 36. Now you can see in my monk video we were 11 of 36 going in, we killed it, and we were 13 of 36. The reason is that we killed 2 adds on the first boss encounter that counted towards mob count. So the bosses won't, but the adds that are spawned do. So just keep in mind, if you are going to stun that first add like we do, you will need to pick up 2 extra mobs if you get through the boss that quick. Another way to do it would be to kill the pack after the second boss with the enslavers, the Rending Voidlash and that padding Exuma, and then just invis up the stairs on that 4 pack that I said you can also invis, that a lot of people do. Which would probably save less sticking around. It certainly would have saved that clusterfuck of a rush at the end we had. So that is it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'm sorry it was a bit messy, but more videos to come. Cheers.